This is the after-action report for the Waco Tactical Fitness Centerfire 2-Gun Biathlon. This event takes place twice a year in Central Texas. The course covers just over 5.5 miles of cross-country hiking and running, along with a ton of obstacles. It has 7 live-fire shooting stages, along with a bonus stage and a pistol walk of shame. Unlike a lot of the other events that I do, this course is very flat and has very little elevation change, but it more than makes up for it with obstacles. There are a ton of man-made and natural obstacles, including multiple rope climbs, hurdles, an unstable incline monkey bars, a leaning 8-foot vertical wall, and tube crawl through a corrugated mud-filled steel tube, zip line off of a Connex, and a couple hundred yards in a river that's often waist deep. Before we continue, if you like this video, be sure to drop a comment, to like and subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Also, after the video is over, go check out the catalog of events that I have on my channel. They're all pretty similar to this. They are extreme cross-country shooting events. Alright, back to the video. Now, most of the events that I shoot are truly blind events, meaning competitors are not given an advanced brief of stages or allowed to do any sort of stage walkthrough. These courses are not about how well you can stage plan and craft the perfect path, but instead are more about how well can you fight through fatigue and retain your fundamental marksmanship skills. Overall, I prefer blind events. It removes a lot of the more gamey aspects of shooting sports. You get one chance to figure it out on the clock, often fatigued and somewhat mentally compromised. This event, however, is a bit different from the other events that I typically attend in this regard. The stages are pretty much the same year over year, which allows for returning competitors to really measure their past performance season over season, assuming they come back. I've been competing in this event for twice a year for 4 years now, and I have found that this event really is the bar by which I measure my daily training against. No matter how many times I run this course, it never gets easy, and while the wall does not get higher, I do get older every year, and I'm definitely feeling it. This event really lives up to its implied acronym, the What the F Biathlon. The first few times I ran this course years ago, I definitely found myself saying, what the f. But now, 4 years into it, saying has somewhat evolved into just, This is the definition of type 2 fun. It sucks while you're doing it, but when you finish, you feel a proper sense of accomplishment. It's pain with a purpose. If you can't tell by now, like a moth to a flame, I am eternally attracted to these styles of events. They're punishing, and they try to actively beat you down and humble your marksmanship and athletic abilities. It's the ultimate crucible and learning feedback on how you perform truly when put to the limit. This event is for the Type 2 fun addict. If you'd rather spend your weekends crawling through mud, banging your knees on rocks, versus sitting on your butt and drinking alcohol besides a pool, then this is the event for you. This is in fact a biathlon. Competitors receive a ranking for their cross-country running between stages and a ranking for their shooting performance, with the overall rankings being weighted 60% shooting and 40% running. Now, all of the obstacles are mandatory, with the exception of 2 obstacles, the 8-foot vertical wall and the incline monkey bars. Competitors will incur a 15-minute course runtime penalty for each obstacle they choose to go around. And for my vertically challenged homies, the wall is doable. Don't just write it off as an immediate loss. No, you can't use a grapple hook to pull yourself up over the top, but there's nothing in the rules that says you can't drop your gear at the base, scale the wall, and then pull your equipment over it with a rope once you've made it to the top. That being said, only about 10 to 12% of competitors will actually clean this course, that is, pass all the shooting stages and clear all of the obstacles. Most local gun ranges are a bit of a lie. They'll give you a false sense of shooting competency. Stable shooting positions at a rifle bay with high contrast targets at known distances are a facade. That barely qualifies as practice and really should only be done to ensure your weapon system is zeroed and to test and confirm your holds. Events like this will shine a bright light on your marksmanship gaps. The shooting stages all have a focus on real-world settings. There aren't very many berm backers here, which means no missed shot feedback. Good luck with your so-called combat zero on a target that's peeking up over a hood of a car. Your local range with high contrast, known distance targets, and berm backers are a crutch and very unrealistic. The real world does not have very many 12-foot high loose dirt hills behind a target just waiting to give you missed shot feedback or correction. This event is set up intentionally to have you shooting into the void, whether it be a target placed high in a wood line with your missed shots zipping into the bushes and trees, or targets placed in and around cars that just absorb your missed shots like a black hole. Confidence in your holds and wind calls are critical. Not getting sucked into a target is critical. Receiving data from the natural environment is critical. How's the wind downrange? It's probably not what it is where you are. This is a difficult skill set to master, especially when you are 4 miles into a course, the sun is beating down on you, and you just climbed your way out of a riverbed. Fatigue is a mental blocker, and will handicap your marksmanship. I personally DNF'd a stage this year that I've never DNF'd before, simply because I was tired. I had my wind holds wrong, and I was in the wrong headspace, relying on target distances from years prior. It took too long to adjust, which resulted in a failure. It's no excuses, it's just data to process and remember for next time. Why do I say it's less gamey? Of course, all sports and competitions are a game to some degree, but it is a sliding scale, in my opinion, and mostly based around rule sets. Hefty rule sets really drag a sport into becoming very gamey, with competitors looking to exploit loopholes to gain a tenth of a second here or there. This is why you see those insane feints in soccer. That's them trying to game the rules to gain an advantage. It's similar for shooting sports. The bigger the rule set, the more divisions you have, the gamier it is, in my opinion. I mean, look at these so-called rifles. This is a direct result of strict rules. They're trying to get as much performance as they can without breaking a very strict rule set, which results in this kind of wacky setups that you would never actually see in the real world. That's not to say that gaming is bad per se, but it's not really a good way to get feedback on potentially life-saving personal defense weapons. No one at this event is going to whip out a tape measure and measure your magazines. There's no rules in regards to leg straps or rifle slings or the types of optics or the number of optics you can have. Likewise, there's no overly prescribed courses of fire. There's no complex maze of improbable setups to force you to tap dance around a confined flat bay. This event is kind of the opposite. It's run whatever you have, however you have it, and the course of fire is relatively simple, with mostly being fire in advance. Trust me, the trail between the stages is hard enough. Trying to remember an overly prescribed, go here, do this course of fire would be a bit of a nut punch for everyone. In fact, the most gamey element this time around was this incredibly small shoot box on stage 3, which was there to really get people to have to squat or take a knee for this pistol target. Personally, I hate shoot boxes. I think they're way too gamey, but this one didn't really bother me too much. Squats are fun, I'd do it again. Now, the intro did say there were no restrictions on gear, and that is mostly true. However, there are some safety restrictions like a proper pistol holster that covers the trigger guard and keeps the pistol properly retained. Pistols are carried hot throughout the competition, and you'll get an instant DQ if your pistol pops out for any reason. Also, no steel core or armor penetrating ammo. Don't be the a-hole that kills their targets. Also, I'm pretty sure that whiners, complainers, or furries would get kicked out, which I support. Speaking of gear, let's dive into the gear that I used on course. This is pretty much my standard loadout. Not much has changed for this event. I'm still running my BCM KD4 with a Surefire can, a primary arms 2-10 on top with a BTC reticle, and my LBT padded sling. I do have a new scope camera for this event though. It's a RunCam Scope Can 2, which is very cool. It's a 4K 10x optical power, so you're going to get to see the targets that I'm shooting very clearly, which is nice to add that context to this video. I am testing out a slightly smaller pack this time. It's a Velocity Systems Assault pack. It's a 10-liter pack, which is a little bit smaller than my 14-liter LBT pack that I usually use. On the straps of the pack, I have my Spiritus Systems chest rig. This is my favorite way to run a chest rig, just clips straight into the actual backpack itself. For this event, I only packed 16 ounces of water, 4 rifle mags, and 5 pistol mags in the pack, my toolkit, and that's about the extent that this load of this pack can comfortably carry. There's just a bit of extra room in the pack left for maybe like a pair of socks or some food, but I really wouldn't want to load it down too much more. This pack is very light. It folds up real nice and it could stow in a ruck very well. It also sits real high, so I can run my standard IFAK on my back of my belt, versus my LBT pack, which kind of rides my belt. But like I said, if I had to run more water or ammo, or maybe the weather conditions were a little colder and I had to pack extra layers, I don't think that this pack would do very well for very long. Headed out to stage 1, this is the longest leg of the entire course, and it takes you almost into downtown Crawford. And then you kind of snake your way along this country road. Up and over the barbed wire fence, and then into stage 1. Stage 1 course of fire is all pistol. You start off by scaling this vertical tire wall, and then you have 3 positions with Mozambiques at each position. Pretty awkward here. In the years past, I've actually gone prone. I'm not sure why I decided to go back to sitting this year. It did not pay off. I have shot this stage much better before. Short jog over to stage 2. Stage 2 course of fire starts off with a tire toss, and then you make your way to 3 different shooting positions, with the last 2 shooting positions being unsupported single hand shooting, weak hand and strong hand. Pathway to stage 3 is definitely the most interesting part of this entire course, and probably the most challenging. Starts off with a descent into the valley, down into a riverbed with a bit of a rope climb. This time around, it was extremely slippery. The vegetation had definitely built up. It had rained a few days prior, so it was muddy.
Yeah.
The water was definitely high, and the path was kind of occluded a little bit. The pathway here is kind of a bit all over the place, kind of in the river itself, then up through this kind of limestone cavernous area, then back down into the river again. Fairly long section here where you push through and you've got the water up to your waist, which if you've never done this before, that takes a lot of energy to actually move with any kind of relative speed through water like this. And then one more time back into the water, except this part here is extremely washed out. If you don't hold on to these tree roots here, the water is almost up to my chin. I'm 6 foot tall, so it's pretty deep here. So I'm trying my best to stay out of it. A little bit of a rope assist here to get out of here, very muddy and slippery. And then a single foot ladder to climb up, back up to the top. And then almost to stage 3, but one more obstacle. This is the corrugated steel tube crawl, which generally is quite wet and muddy on the inside. It's also pretty small diameter. I just barely fit in there with my pack on and my chest rig.
Correct. Feet in the box.
Feet in the box.
The whole time.
1. What's in the box?
2. Put your feet in that box.
Stage 3 course of fire here. This is my favorite stage. It has 4 shooting positions, starting off with pistol. Usually the pistol targets are in a way that you have to kind of get creative with getting your hits, otherwise you're shooting into the car. And then target placement. Target placement on this stage is fantastic. You're looking at targets in and around cars in pretty realistic positions with pretty realistic size.
Hit! 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 Hit!
And then finishing off here in this van with some longer range shots. Definitely have a little bit of wind downrange to contend with.
Hit! Hit!
Making your way over to stage 4, it's a quick jog through this cow pasture here. Before you get to stage 4, you have another obstacle. This is hurdles. You are not allowed to go around this obstacle, you have to go over them. And then stage 4, course of fire. This is the long range stage. These targets here vary from season to season. They do move them around, which I got sucked into these targets this year for whatever reason. I was just not in the right headspace. And I actually went back to like target ranges from years prior, and it took me way too long to adjust, which actually resulted in me DNFing. This target here, I was ranging at about 200, and it was actually closer to 300 yards. But the backer here is of course a car, which just eats your missed shots. It doesn't let you know where you're actually falling short, falling high. I mean, even the spotter here doesn't actually know where my impacts are. It's pretty hard for him to know, and the RO spotters here really aren't there to give you missed calls.
Correct. Well, a little bit more.
Target 4. Hit! Hit!
Once you complete this string of fire, you actually have to switch shoulders and complete it with your weak side as well. There's also a bit of wind downrange here that I was not accounting for properly.
Hit! Run the Suburban? Yeah. Hit! Last shot was just under target. Just got the right edge on the last target.
So, lessons learned, definitely have some takeaways here, some things I need to go home and practice on, and some things that I need to remember for next time. And then a little bit of a longer leg here over to stage 5. Now there's a bonus stage in between this, and sometimes it varies on what the bonus stage actually is. This time around it was axe throwing. And then you get to your first obstacle that you can actually go around. But if you go around this obstacle, you do take a 15-minute penalty on your course run time. And then stage 5, course of fire. This stage used to be in a tree, but that tree is dead and no longer safe to actually climb and shoot from. So instead, it's off of this ladder, which is pretty rickety. This is not a very stable ladder. It is just leaning against the tree. So you're bouncing around a little bit after climbing up there and trying to pull off some stable shots on 2 targets that are down at medium distance for carbine. I believe the distances are probably between 200 and 400 yards, something like that. And it's like a shoulder to head shot. It's kind of a strange target here.
Hit it!
Hit! Next target.
Definitely a very challenging stage, especially when the wind comes out. When the wind comes out, this stage is very difficult.
Hit! Hit!
Then onward to stage 6, another optional obstacle. That's the inclined monkey bars. Again, if you go around this, 15-minute penalty. And then stage 6, another fantastic course of fire. Start off in a car, you engage targets with your pistol, move out of the car, do it again, and then you have a series of like 4 positions here with rifle, engaging the same target downrange at each position.
Hit! 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 Hit!
Now these positions are pretty terrible. That's no good way to actually get a good supported shot off here. And the target itself is actually relatively small, and it has a vehicle as a backer. So you really, again, have to be confident in your holds.
Great.
And then on to stage 7. This is the final stage for the course.
Bye. Fire.
Very confined shooting space here, and you're actually working your way down these little shoot ports, and they get lower and lower until they're all the way on the ground and you're shooting completely off angle.
Hit. Hit. Hit.
Take. Safe.
If you struggle with that kind of off-angle shooting like that last shoot port was, be sure to go check out Delta 34's video on off-angle shooting. It's fantastic and shows you what your holds do at different ranges. And then on to the very last bonus stage. It's not really a bonus. You can't go around this one. You have to do this one. The Walk of Shame. And this is essentially 2 pistol targets, with the first pistol target at 100 yards. Flip the tire, try to get your impact at 100 yards. If you miss, you have to go back, flip the tire again, and then run and get an impact or attempt to get an impact at 50 yards. You get 1 shot at each target. If you hit the first target at 100 yards, you do not have to go flip the tire and go back to the 50 yards. And then finishing off with the last major obstacle here, it's a rope climb and then a zip line off of a Connex. If you can't do the rope climb, they do have an optional obstacle that you have to go through, and it's those tires that you see back there. You actually have to crawl underneath them, which after a rainstorm, those tires are usually filled with water, and it's an absolute mud crawl. And then a bit of a long leg here back to the finish line. Kind of run through a bit of a cow pasture, and then across this creek bed, which this time around there's actually some water that was flowing across and some algae. Almost slipped there, whoops. A couple of rocks, and then run your way back through the parking lot and back home. Overall thoughts, this is a fantastic course. This is one that you just must do. It's a fantastic test of your overall fitness as well as your marksmanship, and it's something that I look forward to every season when it comes around. I slipped pretty significantly this year around compared to last year's rankings. Last year I shot second, I ran 14th, which put me third overall. It's very cool to place, but regardless, I got takeaways. I'm looking forward to the next time I get to try this course out. If you like this video, be sure to send it to your friends, get your buddies out there. This is a lot of fun to do with friends, and as always, run, lift, and shoot.